a short overview of your musical history. Let's say it that way.
So I started uh, late. I started late. My mom took me to church, which is where I got to see musicians play live. And then my older brother and his friends had a band, and I would sit amongst them watching them record in the studio. And then I sat amongst DJs and watched them blend from record to record to see like how it would flow to move the crowd. When I went to college to learn how to perfect my skills as a drummer, I went in as a jazz major, and in that's when I landed the performance aspect, which turns out I started playing at the clubs in New York City, and some poets had saw me play. They knew I knew how to play hip hop, so they asked me to play hip hop for them. And once I collaborated with the poets, one of the crew members, what happens to be one of the original members of the Roots, named Rozelle, the Godfather of Noise. His manager at the time saw me and wanted me to collaborate and be a part of that crew, and that's really how my career started. I started working out with poets, and then working underneath my brother and his team in the studio, and seeing live musicians in church, and then I just took all of that, put it in the pot, and here we are.
What are the projects you're working on now, or the things you are exploring?
So now I have a funk jazz record, so which is made for the. I kind of put a mesh. I took the love that I have for hip hop and the love that I have for jazz, and I kind of fused a bridge. Well, I want to fuse a bridge to where the artists or the creators of hip hop, like the DJ Premiers, the Ninth Wonders, the Pete Rocks, those guys who took samples from Amar Jamal and Bob James, these jazz artists who sampled their records. I wanted to fuse more records like that for the hip hop artists, producers of today, to want to continue that legacy of creating great music, the same as Dr. Dre and all those guys did back in the 90s hip hop. I want to give them new material that they say, yo, you got to get Stix Bones drums, the same way they took James Brown's funky drummer. Or, yo, you got to get Stix Bones horns, the same way Pete Rock took horns from other, notable jazz artist records.
Nice, nice. And is there any specific project you're working on now?
Yes, right now I'm happy to announce I came across this great uh, thing called lo-fi hip hop, which was something when I heard it, I was just amazed at how dope, because this is what we did in the 90s, live. We played just the loops. Me as a drummer played just the loops, and I had a horn player on my, like, playing over me, or I have some nice chords playing over me. And here we have lo-fi hip hop and chill hop, which is where, like, now these are accepted instrumental recordings, as projects. So now we have a dope lo-fi project coming out called Brooklyn Nights, which emphasizes on my home, Brooklyn, New York. Each track tells you a little story of what's in the borough of Brooklyn. No disrespect to the other four boroughs, but when you born and raised in one, you got to big that one up first. So yeah, we got a dope lo-fi hip hop joint called Brooklyn Nights. The first single is called Bed-Stuy Hustle. And if y'all know about Bed-Stuy, do or die Bed-Stuy, you got to get your hustle on. So check it out.
Nice. And what is in the future for Stix Bones? Is there any project coming up, or is there any genres or ideas you want to explore or dive into?
Yeah, I'm going to continue in the funk jazz where, like I said, I'm creating a new catalog of funk jazz music geared towards the hip hop producer who wants to find fresh drums, fresh sounds to sample for their artists and for the people that they collaborate with for their beats. It's one thing to dig in the crates, and I want to keep the crates full by supplying new and fresh sounds in the funk jazz market. So definitely look out for the next Stix Bones Funk Jazz project. My first one dropped in 2020. It's called Breaks from the Soul. You can find that everywhere. But yeah, if the next one that I hope to have released by the end of this year, if you follow Breaks from the Soul, you'll know where I'm coming from. Definitely.
Nice. And is there also any other dreams or like indeed like completely different things that you would want to try at some point?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't put myself in a box. Hopefully, now that the pandemic has pretty much, we're on post pandemic where we're allowed to get back on stage. I'm looking forward to getting back and performing this great music, working with great artists, whether it be hip hop, R&B, playing, even doing on the jazz circuit for myself as an artist. Definitely looking forward to doing some of that. But then also writing for TV and film, man. I've been watching a lot of great content out there that's being filmed, and there's a lot of great music that's coming along with it. So I'm heading forth and sitting down with a couple of songwriters, and we're putting together a team, and we're going to start hitting up some TV and sync opportunities.